Welcome to class. Today we are going to cover the use of formal writing rules. The artist Pablo Picasso is supposed to have said learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. While he ended up breaking the rules to the tune of world fame and generations of admirers, he, like everyone else, had to start by practicing his craft and perfecting the basic skills he needed to become an artist in the first place. The same must be true of anyone in any skill. If we want to be able to break the rules in creative and interesting ways, to be able to say something new or in a new way, we have to have an understanding of the rules first. Here are a few rules to keep in mind when you start writing formally, especially for school. Once you have mastered these, you will be in a better position to choose when to apply them and when to ignore them. No second person. No first person. No first names. No titles. Talking or writing in the second person means speaking to your audience. There are two ways we can do this. One is with pronouns, such as you or your. For example, the sentence, "Everyone knows that you shouldn't use second person in formal writing," contains the second person pronoun. In English, these pronouns can sneak into the sentence both when we are talking to someone directly, and when we are generalizing. The second way to use the second person is with commands. The imperative, the verb form that allows us to issue commands, does not require pronouns, but it still addresses the audience. For example, live life to the fullest is a command in the second person, even though it doesn't contain the pronoun you. When we speak, using the second person makes sense, since the person we are speaking to is right there. But in formal writing, we eliminate these forms, and stick to the third person instead. Using the second person in formal writing can feel accusatory to the reader, who cannot respond. The third person, by tradition, sounds more neutral and objective. The first person in English uses first-person pronouns, such as I, me, we, us, mine, ours, etc. The first person can show up in formal writing when the author wishes to share a personal experience or story. In rare instances, this can be permissible, but getting in the habit of focusing on what we are writing about, rather than our own situation or experience, is a good habit for those who write formally or for class. Your instructor will tell you whether a first-person account might be permissible in a particular situation, but, in the absence of specific instructions, it is helpful to assume that third person is the way to go. It also helps you to stay on topic, rather than switching to a more personal narrative. However, there is another way in which the first person shows up in writing, with little statements like I think or I believe in situations where we are required to share an opinion. While this is a healthy habit in conversation, where these little statements help a speaker not to sound too presumptuous or overconfident, they are a distraction in formal writing. It is assumed that anything you put in your essay is your responsibility, and, for the purposes of the essay, your opinion. There is no need to distract from the points you are making by trying to appear humble. When we are writing about a person, it is important to be respectful to that person. Since most people we write about are strangers, and we cannot ask their permission to call them by first name, sticking to the last name or a first/last name combination is better. Thus, Nelson Mandela can be Mandela, but not Nelson. Amy Tan can be Tan, but not Amy. It is also acceptable, as in conversation, to replace people's names with pronouns such as he, she, or they, or with another noun, such as author or senator. It is acceptable to use first names for people with whom we are intimately acquainted, such as family members or close friends, or with young children. Of course, when we refer to people by their last name, there is a temptation to add a title. After all, if Tan is more respectful than Amy, Ms. Tan might be more respectful than Tan. However, this is not usually so. One reason for this is that it's almost impossible to guess correctly what title a person prefers or has earned. After all, Amy Tan is married. Would she prefer to go by Mrs.? But she is better known in her own right. So Ms.? But she has any number of honorary degrees. Maybe doctor? She often teaches courses or seminars at colleges and universities. Professor? It is simply impossible to know for sure. The convention of using last names without titles in formal writing spares us the agony of guessing and getting it wrong. The only place where we consistently break this convention is in the heading of your essay, where, if you don't want to deal with your professor's first name, you can use their title of professor followed by their last name. Great job! Come back anytime to review these formal writing rules.